that children right now, as we are standing here, are being born in Vietnam with deformities that defy imagination because of something we did 40, 50 years ago and take no responsibility for it all. And those same chemicals are in our food now. And our children are beginning to show signs, not just now, but for a long time, show signs of the effects of these chemicals that we're ingesting. Many times what you take out of the grocery store, you might as well just take a teaspoon of poison and just give it to your children, because essentially that's what ends up that you're doing. It's not intentional, but that's why you need to educate yourself and stop it. Protect your children, protect yourselves. Protect the environment in which we live, because we have only one, and we need to keep it and keep it safe. Vietnam veterans have suffered a lot, yes, but you're sharing in the same chemicals now, so don't do it. Next we have Laura, who also has an example of this. She has a personal story to tell you. So Laura Shadley.
First of all, Albert wanted me to mention that we have the petition to label GMOs in Georgia. Please, if you haven't signed it already, we have some over at the table, the March Against Monsanto table. I'm here to talk about my father. This month is his, the 1-year anniversary of his death. He died from pneumonia. He died from pneumonia. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was served from 64 to 68. When he came home, he was also spat on, and he wasn't honored as a vet. I don't agree with war, but I agree that my father shouldn't have been treated in such a way. He fought for his country. He's also a tribal. He was a tribal elder of the Shasta Warm Springs Klamath tribe in Oregon, and for the last 15 years of his life, he's changed his life around a lot. And he spoke out for veterans, and he also traveled over to Israel. He became a Christian. He really turned his life around for the better, even though he suffered a lot in his with his battle with post-traumatic stress disorder and many other things that he had to go through. He had pneumonia last year that was brought on by a lung disease that he developed from the he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then he had a radiation and developed the pneumonia. And my last conversation with him was over the phone. I could only talk to him. He couldn't talk to me. I'm sorry. So, I mean, nobody deserves to die that way. Not even the worst person in the world deserves to die that way. My kids are important to me, and this is why I stand up here. To do this, to educate you and to educate everybody. Your children are more important. I don't even know if I have any complications. I don't know if anything was passed down to me. I don't know if anything was passed down to my children. We really don't know. It took more than 30 years for my dad to show any symptoms of this, and any illness. He was perfectly fine for 30 plus years. They cannot tell you that they've tested and everything's safe and there's no problems, there's not going to be any complications just by a few tests. For 90 days or even a few years, it's not possible. You all need to educate yourselves, ask the right questions, because if you don't, you're just, I mean, you don't know. I'm so sorry. This is really hard. I'm also, I'm a food stamp mom. I grew up poor. And I'm strong. I'm stronger today because of what my dad went through and what he showed me. The last conversations that we had, watching what my mom had to go through. And I chose to make my life different for my children. I don't believe that life is hopeless. I believe that you can change your life. You don't have to be poor. You don't have to eat what they sell you. I eat organics. I've gone almost completely vegetarian. I'm trying to get my children to go vegetarian. I want them to be healthy. I mean, we don't need to destroy the earth to eat. That's not the way of my people. It's not the way of many of your people. We lived in tribal ways. We lived with the earth. We grew with the earth. I mean, this is not the way. I mean, we don't need some company to come in and tell us how to grow our food or what we need to eat. So everybody, please just educate yourselves. That's all I can really say right now. I'm sorry.
Have you tried double tapping?
Laura's message is a hard message for most of us. If you're a vet, you know the pain. And as she said, what you're doing to your bodies right now may not show up for 30 or 40 years. Same with some of us, or the Vietnamese themselves who are still suffering so mightily from it. So watch. Be careful. Take care of your body. Take care of your health. You don't have another one. Take care of the planet on which we live. We don't have another one. So educate yourselves, please. Above all things, educate yourself and others. Don't take it anymore. We don't have to. We have the power. I have another speaker that I want to speak. Jack Kingston, as we all know, and believe me, let me say, yeah, boo. Let me say one thing first. Well, I do want to, we've had a lot of politicians here today. But March Against Monsanto is completely nonpartisan. It's not party that matters to us, it's the issue itself. If you're against Monsanto and you're for health and good food, then you're on our side. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you what to do. These people are here, listen to them, ask them questions, and make sure that they represent you. You don't represent them. They're supposed to represent you. So that's all I have to say on the subject. But it is a difficult subject for a lot of us who've gone through this for so long. Next is Amy Tavio, who is running to take Jack Kingston's seat that he is vacating. She is speaking basically as the new representative for the 1st Congressional District.
I'm about to record this. I got the record.
Good afternoon, Savannah. My name is Amy Tavio, and I'm here today not just as your next Democratic candidate and future Congresswoman for the great 1st District in Georgia, but also as a mother and as a consumer. I am tired of having to guess what I am putting on the table every evening for dinner. I'm tired of wondering what I'm packing in the lunch boxes. And I'm packing lunch boxes because I don't know what's being prepared in the school cafeteria. It is beyond time that we have the right to know what it is that we are putting in our bodies. All we're asking is the ability to make an informed choice and know what we're eating. GMO labeling is time is now, and it gets to be done today. The other issue that we need to make sure that we handle when we talk about big agribusiness companies like Monsanto is the stranglehold that they have on our seed supply and how they're basically using patent law to extort the U.S. farmer. That was not the intent. The lawsuits and the judgments that have been awarded to Monsanto exceed the small American farmer by millions of dollars. You know, the seed supply, we have U.S. farmers that are being fined for dust and pollen from GMO crops blowing over into their fields and tainting their crops. That is not what patent law was designed for, and the U.S. farmer needs to be protected. We can do better. And last but not least, we need to take a good hard look at these farm subsidies. Farm subsidies were designed for 3 reasons. To protect the small American farmer from going belly up and losing the family farm that has been farmed for generations upon generations. To make sure that we had sustainable, affordable food to go onto our table, a good, healthy supply, food supply for the American people. It was not meant to be a way to bolster the profit margins for big agribusiness. It is time that we take control of where our money is spent, and we spend it wisely to actually grow food that's healthy, that we should be eating, and not crap that basically makes our children obese and sick. I'm impressed with what you all are up to today. I support you 100%, and I will be your voice in DC to get the job done. Thank you.
The one thing about these issues is that they are personal. This is not some abstract construct somewhere. Everything that we're talking about today affects you on a very deep and very personal level. If we understand who we are and our place in this universe, and understand what we are doing to our bodies, ourselves, our cities, our farms, our trees, everything. I mean, we're connected. But we as a people now are terribly disconnected. It's time that we change that we realize just who we are. There are lots of ways to do that. The first way, let's get these petitions, let's get labeling in Georgia, not just Vermont, but in Georgia. We deserve that. We deserve to know what we are eating and what's in our food. Educate people. When you go to the grocery store, don't accept the cart with all the processed foods, the dried cereals and the canned goods and with chemicals in it that you couldn't pronounce if you had a degree in Latin half the time. A lot of these things are new. We don't need to be eating them. They're not part of our natural environment, our food supply. We need to be eating fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, nothing in them but those fruits. We will never get that until we demand it. You can't ask and say, oh, please give us this. Beg on your knees. We have to demand it. Every time you go into the grocery store, ask for the manager. Tell him you want better than this. That's what we need to be doing. We need to take this in our own hands now. This is not time just to leave it to Congress or just to leave it to the Supreme Court or the President or anyone else. We need to take it as a personal issue. We've had some of the best bands in Savannah over these last 3 times. Last time we had Miggs play, Miggs' son. He was phenomenal. He impressed everyone. And he's back this year to do it again, this time to do it again. Miggs,